that part out.
Yeah, that's good. All right, so episode 3.
Episode 3.
Yeah. Happy Halloween, everyone.
3. How many languages do you know how to say the number 3?
Jeden, dwa, tres, which is Polish for 3. Uno, dos, tres. 3.
You're saying 1, 2, and 3. Under trois, yeah. French,
trois.
I know that one.
In German, it's probably fuck you, if I had to guess.
Один, два, три in Russian.
Russian, okay, 3.
Or if you're counting, you can say раз instead of 1. It's like if soldiers are doing like a march or something, they'll be раз, два, три.
Oh, wait. Links to drei, I think, is in German. The only reason I remember that is because of the Rammstein song.
Right.
Links to drei, vier, links to.
Rammstein's pretty good.
They are good, yeah. Did you get into them after I showed you their Germania video, or you already kind of knew about them beforehand?
I knew about them a little bit beforehand, and you showed me some videos that were really cool. I haven't listened to them really since then.
They haven't released a lot of stuff. They're kind of like slow burners in that regard, but yeah. So you been all right? How's your last week been?
Pretty good, man. Got pretty drunk last night.
Nice.
I was celebrating because I took the NCLEX yesterday, which is a state nursing board examination. So.
And this is the moment you realize you failed utterly and you can never be a nurse, right?
Well, I don't know yet.
All right.
But it's like it stopped me at like 146 questions,
Which is a good sign.
which I think is a good sign because that means I probably passed.
Or it means that you were
Or I
beyond
failed.
failing.
Yeah, or I'm like beyond saving, and they're
I
like,
think
just
you're
get
fine.
out of here. You lose.
I think you should be fine. So
I think so too. I knew that like the pharmacology section I wasn't doing that hot on because towards the end I was getting more pharmacology questions because I was like, oh, that must be the one category that they're like I'm still iffy on.
Yeah.
And they would ask me like, I have like 4 or 5 answer choices, and it's like, what is something that you need to keep in mind with this one specific drug, Trudapacamidosudabao or some shit like that? And I'm like, I don't even know what that drug is. So I just guess.
did you look it up afterwards? Like
No.
No. We'll never know. It's just
It's so specific. I don't know how I just like, it's like, do you take it with water, or you take it an hour before food, or you have to be standing when you take it?
wait.
And
Nurses need to know that shit. Doesn't it come on the pill bottle itself?
Well, yeah, and you're supposed to look it up before you administer drugs. You have like booklets and websites that you can use
Then
to
why the
look
fuck
up all
ask it
this
on the
shit.
test?
Man, I don't know. Why does anybody ever force you to memorize anything that you could ever look up?
I mean, some of the stuff is basic. Like, if you take, like, a Soviet history exam, they're like, tell me about Joseph Stalin. Like, you should kind of know that by heart, right? It's just, like, basic stuff like that.
Well, I mean, it depends on what unit you're working on. Like, if I'm working on a cardiac unit, then yeah, I should know all the cardiac medications by heart.
But how many have there got to be at this point?
I mean, there's a couple classes, and you can divide them into classes that act pretty much the same way.
Okay.
Like beta blockers,
Okay.
pretty much all do the same thing. And there's like several or more drugs that would fit under that category.
Fair enough.
And they have like, slightly different effects here and there, I'm sure. But like,
They generally do the same thing.
they generally do the same thing, yeah.
Cool. So, like, if you made it generic, it'd just be kind of like beta blocker kind of general shit, right?
Yeah, I mean, they probably give like the same stuff to most of the people.
Yeah. And then they just take whatever the main compound is that everyone uses, throw that, and that's the generic, right?
Yeah, it is the generic is just like the chemical compound and or like the structure of the chemical compound.
Cool. But there's no oxys in there.
I don't know, there could be.
But yeah, no, as you can tell, he's enjoying a drink, which I said would be really funny for this podcast because I would like to announce that I have completed Sober October. I am a god amongst mortal men. It was brutally difficult, actually.
We're still in October.
Well, the thing is, I started a day early for the challenge.
Oh, okay.
So, like, because in my mind, it's like, I want to drink on Halloween. Come on now. That'd be kind of silly.
Right.
Like, I'm the sober fucking loser.
It's good thinking.
Yeah. So I started early, so, Sober October's done. I'll tell you this. The first week was really rough to get past, like, just the urge to drink.
The tremors.
It wasn't the tremors. It wasn't tremors. It was the night sweats and all that. But, it was just a habit. Like, it'd be late at night. It's like, I have nothing to do. Might as well grab a drink, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, no, I can't do that, right?
Yeah.
After the second week, the clarity you get is terrifying.
Oh, yeah?
It's like all of a sudden you're like super sharp. I never got writer's block that entire time. And I'm just sitting there like, is this the normal human state? Like, is writer's block just an alcoholic thing? Like,
Yeah, I can't even imagine, like, how I don't know how much more clear I would be if I wasn't bogged down.
like, yeah, that's the point. You don't realize it, and then it's like the fog just slightly goes away, and you're like, damn, is that really how life is?
Sober October is over.
Yes.
Now we're moving into No Nut November.
Yeah, I'm not gonna last like 2 weeks with it. I already know what it's gonna be.
I'm gonna do it.
I mean, I'll say this: my reliance on porn has only increased during quarantine. It has not decreased.
I'm sure not drinking wasn't helping for that. You probably redirected your vice into somewhere else, right?
Not gonna lie, one of the things I did do, because I found that helps me in the past, is I quit a bunch of other habits along with one, but I'm willing to sacrifice those, right? So say, I didn't eat any sugar for like week 2. I didn't drink coffee or any of that stuff. So the idea being is if I feel like my will is straining, I can give in to one of those things.
I see what you mean.
Because I was never really intended to quit on those. Like, I'm not going to quit on coffee. It was just like, okay, it's just a distraction for my drinking. It didn't, like, 100% work, but it was enough to, give me some extra willpower.
So, and did you have to give in on one of those extra goals?
After about a week, I could trust myself enough that I wasn't going to give into just a random urge to drink or whatever. So, yeah, it works pretty well for me. So, with no nut, I don't know what I'm going to do, though, with that. Maybe just replace it with a different habit. Chewing gum.
Drinking again.
No. That's no, let me not do that.
Drink until your dick doesn't work, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Damn, all right, you're fine. Yeah. No, I actually have a great story with that. So I met a girl at a bar one day. It was actually the easiest hookup I've ever been in my life. She initiated everything. I was kind of confused about halfway through with it.
Gotta love that.
Yeah, no, she just initiated. She told me to watch her purse initially, which was a little weird in the bar with a stranger, right?
Yeah.
I did.
You tell a stranger to watch your purse?
Yeah, I did.
It's like, hey, steal my purse. I'm going to the bathroom.
Right? I found out later that it's because the bartender was her friend, so I guess the bartender was watching me watching her purse, which is...
Then why even ask you?
That's the point. Well, I guess because she realized I was a decent guy for watching her shit and not doing anything funky with it.
Maybe she's testing you or something.
I don't know. Maybe that's what it was, and maybe she felt comfortable.
You passed the test.
That also seems like a very generic test. That seems like an arbitrary test. Like, oh, he can't be a serial killer. He watched my purse and took care of it.
He watched my purse.
He couldn't possibly
He's
violate
such a good
me.
guy.
Yeah, right. So, all that happened, and I got a unique case of whiskey dick. It was rock hard the entire time.
You mean that one night?
Yeah. I was rock hard the entire night. Couldn't bust a nut. Impossible. I couldn't do it.
That's interesting.
It was over 50 minutes of sex. I just couldn't bust a nut. It wasn't even fun anymore by that point, Williamson. It wasn't. I was just going through the motions and be like, God, please let me nut. This woman must have thought like I was a god or something. Because it's like, no, this isn't normal. Like, I could have been a porn star that night.
Or maybe you made her sad. She's like, I can't please the man.
I think both of us were too drunk for that to even notice. Because I think at one point she thought I nutted. And then she like went to go clean herself. I'm like, what could you possibly clean yourself with? I didn't nut. There was nothing that came. My balls didn't know what was happening. My dick, fully aware.
They just didn't get the message.
No, they never got the message. The signal didn't get down there. But yeah, no, I mean, Sober October's done. Yeah, so I'm pretty proud of myself. Show that I
That's good, man.
Didn't need alcohol for my personality. Although I became a lot more bland as a human being during the month.
So you do need alcohol for your personality.
No, I have a personality. It's just more bland. But yeah, any exciting news on your end?
Well, the nursing thing was the big thing for me. I'm super glad that I don't have to keep studying when I'm trying to focus on other stuff. Like I'm trying to work on my music, start my business, and
No Nut November.
No Nut November now. I'm actually excited for that. I'm excited for that because I'm ready to, I don't know, face my vices, overcome them, become a stronger man.
Yeah, the way I always view No Nut isn't the thing that, if you fail, it's like shame on you for not doing a whole month or whatever. It's like, it's actually kind of like a semi-test for me to see how long I can go.
Totally.
Right? And it's like, I've always increased, last year was the exception, but I've always increased the amount of time I could go. Like, I mean, the first year I did it, I was like a horny ass 14-year-old. Like I wasn't gonna make it a couple days. The fact I made it 3 days was remarkable.
I wasn't even masturbating when I was 14.
Oh, I already had a mustache by 5th grade. My hormones were flying. So
I mean, I could have, but I was afraid of orgasm.
all right,
It's
keep
a very
going.
interesting. I didn't know what it would feel like. So I would get close, like I'd edge myself, and then I would stop because I was afraid. And so I never masturbated to the point of orgasm until I was like 16 and a half.
So you deliberately tortured yourself without realizing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in retrospect, you probably look back and
Blue
you're
balled
like,
the hell out of myself.
yeah, it's like for no reason at that.
Or no, once I finally did it, like one day I sat down, I was like, I'm sick of being afraid. Today's the day. And I will go into the bathroom and I just
And just edge yourself. You're like, I can't do it.
like it wasn't even, I wasn't even thinking about anything. I wasn't like turned on. I was just like
Going through the motions.
really, really motivated to orgasm just for the sake of orgasming. So I was just, don't stop until it happens. And then I was like, hey, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, you know what's the worst thing though? I remember the first time I nutted. No other time after that. Because that first time you'll never hit that high again. That first big dopamine rush, it's like never the same.
Well, for me, it wasn't even like that enjoyable of an experience because I wasn't.
Your second time probably was.
Second time, right? Because I was actually like into it. The first time I just had something to prove.
Oh my god. No, but like, I think there's something to be said about like the first time the dopamine slaps you, and you're like, this feels great. Like you're like, wait, hold up, this is fantastic.
Holy shit.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's actually, I think, part of the thing with No Nut November too, is if you're overloading yourself with dopamine, it's kind of good to just give yourself a bit of a break there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think probably the more stuff like that you do, the more often, like, the more you're training your brain to look for these short dopamine hits, rather than gaining maybe a longer or a more fulfilling sense of accomplishment from pursuing something more meaningful.
I mean, that's part of the reason why a lot of people get off social media and stuff like that. It's like just hearing the little bird tweet or whatever is like enough to get the dopamine rushing, and it's like not even for a good reason. It's like, oh, cool, someone liked the fact I took a shit this morning. It's like,
yeah. Oh, this guy liked my photo, but he probably didn't even look at it. Really, he just scrolled through it and double tapped.
I mean, depends on the photo.
Depends. What? That's what I do.
Big ass booty and some nice titties. I mean, he probably did look at it.
I like almost everything on Instagram, including all of the ads. I just double tap every single picture.
You know what you're doing to yourself though in the ad one?
Oh,
they're like, oh man,
my search thing gets fucked
ads.
up. My search thing gets fucked up, dude. Like, I'll have all kinds of everything because I like everything.
That's really funny. That's actually really funny. No, I found with me the targeted ads have been getting better and better. Like I was telling this to David the other day. Got one ad for Scottish kilts.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you sit there and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And maybe other people listening is like, what's the point of Scottish kilts or whatever?
They may have upgraded the ad system or something, because I was actually getting a lot of ads that were really tailored to me, and I don't normally I was getting a lot of like music production.
It's
music
because of
the
ads. What's it called? The net neutrality. When that thing ended, they kind of had more access to your information and all that. So the ads could be more targeted.
Right.
Which, I mean, in a way is kind of nice because it's tailored to me. I don't get like generic shit. Which, by the way, hilariously enough, well, if that's the case, why the fuck am I getting political ads? If it's the targeting system is so good, they're just wasting it on me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I'll get ads from both candidates.
Yeah, and you would think like you would only get from your preferred one. Or maybe your preferred one knows you already won. No point in advertising it to you, right?
Or maybe the other guy knows that you're not going to vote for them, so there's no point in wasting advertising on you.
And my way is this. The amount of times I've openly said I voted early. I've been done voting for like 2 or 3 months now, right? It's been done.
Like, you can change your vote, I think.
Yeah, but you get my point. Anyways, it's like it's been done and my phone can literally hear me. I know it's recording. Say, I'm done. Not going back. I'm happy I voted. It's done. I don't have to think about it anymore.
All I hear is the word vote. Have you voted yet?
Yeah, it's like I don't get that.
Have you voted yet?
Yeah.
Because Carlos?
You would think an AI would get like, no, this guy's pretty fucking stubborn. Yeah, I know, Carlos. But anyways, so Scottish Kill ad comes up. And, most people, those listening maybe might even go, why the fuck would they care about Scottish Kill?
Why would you?
And then me goes, I fucking want one. That's how good that was. It's like, low key, I've been wanting one. Not even Scottish. I just want to wear
Just
a kilt.
kilt. Dude,
Yeah.
I'd wear a fucking kilt.
Right?
Like, yeah, I'd get a kilt.
With the long ass socks and
It
shit.
would. Oh, I would totally get like a kilt to match my scarf. I have this really nice scarf that I
Is
got
it
in
like
Ireland.
the
The red one.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. No, that works great then.
Right.
Because it's that same tartan.
So maybe
kind of thing.
maybe if I had like one of those black and red patterned kilts to match the scarf. Well, I was gonna say like what's that instrument?
Bagpipe.
Bagpipe color. Are bagpipes red and black?
I think there are also a variety of colors.
Probably
I
a
think the
variety of
idea is you change the color based on the kilts or whatever. I don't know exactly how they do that one. No, but funny enough, Scots aren't actually the only people with bagpipes. Like most cultures kind of have a bagpipe here and there. Because the only thing
Disgusting.
I mean, you just take like a stomach or something and
Oh, I
like
actually don't know how a bagpipe works.
I mean, that's just pretty much it. It's like you take air in an instrument, in this case the bag, and then as you squeeze the bag, it kind of goes through the horns. So really the only guy that, doing like the blowing in is just to keep the bag inflated.
Oh, okay.
You kind of control actually what you're playing with the squeeze.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. And you're like refilling the reservoir of air with your mouth.
Exactly, yeah. So it's kind of an I know like Greeks, for example, they got their own little bagpipes.
I'm definitely gonna look at bagpipe players differently now that I know that they're using their arm.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like I guess it's not the same way as like playing a clarinet or something that's like mouth control or anything like that. It's like literally just you're pumping in as much air as you can in there to keep the thing going, which is still impressive considering that if you're doing like a constant squeeze and the air is constantly going out, you are having to play a game with it, right?
Yeah, you must have to blow a lot of air in there.
Yeah, you must be pressing B to blow a lot.
You must be
Like really,
really skilled at blowing.
yeah. We're confirmed to hear Scots love to give blows.
Scots are really good at.
Yeah.
They do a really good job at blowing.
They also eat haggis. You ever see that?
Haggis? I don't
Yeah.
think so. That's a movie?
No. I said they eat haggis. They eat a movie? What?
I thought you said, have you seen haggis?
No. Haggis is
Ha-
I think it's
Hagrid?
their national... No. No. Haggis, I think, is their national dish.
Haggard.
Which I think it gets a bad rap because people get scared of it for no reason. It's that they take like a sheep's stomach and they fill it with meat and then they cook it. So it's like a sausage. That's the way I view it.
So it's almost
it's like
like,
a
you're eating something that while it's being eaten because it's in a stomach.
Right? No, but I mean, people get grossed out because they're like, oh, it's inside the stomach. And the way I view it is like, you guys do know, like, American sausages come in intestines half the time, right? It's like, that's the way it's done.
I'm just getting a napkin.
Ah.
My nose is a little runny.
Ah, fair enough. But,
I didn't know that.
yeah, no, and people are always disgusted by it. Me, it's like, it's just meat in a sack. How bad can it be, right? Now, if they season it poorly or something, I'm sure it's disgusting, but
I'm sure that's a potential to be good.
yeah. I'm thinking that with some potatoes, and it's probably pretty solid.
I don't think I've ever eaten a stomach before.
I have. You
Yeah.
never have, like, tripe soup or anything like that?
I don't think so.
It's pretty good. I mean, you gotta go through a lot of effort to soften up the stomach. It's kind of a rigid, organ.
Mm-hmm.
Like, generally, you gotta wash all the gunk off it because they generally don't do it. Or you can buy it bleached. They do that, too.
It's interesting to think about eating something that is made specifically to withstand stomach acid.
Yeah. But, that's kind of where cooking comes in, right? It's no
Yeah, you can degrade it with the cooking. That's a good point. I learned.
I mean, you really soften it up because it takes a few hours to cook it properly, so it really does soften up when it's done. It's actually pretty tasty too. So
I didn't know this. Cool tip for anyone out there who's iron deficient. Simply cooking your food in a cast iron pan can increase the amount of iron you're eating by like 20 times over.
yeah, that's why people have an issue when you put like tomato sauce or something acidic in the pan because you're taking too much iron, which can be a problem.
If you put something like tomato sauce in there,
Yeah,
then
because
too much iron
the
will get in
acidity
there.
kind of breaks down the pan a little bit, and then you get way too much iron
Alright,
in
so
there.
you get a shit ton of iron.
Yeah, but like almost poisonous amounts depending how long you leave it in there for.
Mm.
So yeah, that's why they always tell you like never use like a cast iron to cook like your spaghetti or something like that, because if you decide like I'm just gonna leave it there for an hour or two and it's like, oh well, the acid's just gonna be eating up that pan.
I had no idea.
One, not good for the cast iron because you ruined the damn seasoning on it, right? And two, not good for yourself. I mean, iron's good, but not too much.
Dude, how much like oil do you put on the pan when you're cooking, like, let's say we're cooking some eggs, you're making an omelet. Like, how much oil?
A tablespoon or two.
A tablespoon.
Yeah.
So
Depending how many eggs I'm doing. If I'm doing 2 or 3, maybe 2.
do you like move it around to like coat the pan, or you can kind of just do a couple drops and then just?
All right. So for a cast iron, like to have it seasoned, it's like a working before process. I mean, the easiest way to do it is you just cook on it. And maybe something is more delicate like eggs, you ignore for a bit. You'll just do like harder meats and stuff like that. Let's say. But essentially, it's like every time you use the cast iron, you do clean it, but the recommendation I've always seen, it works best for making it like kind of almost non-stick. Clean it with like water and scrubbing it, but don't use like any harsh soap on it, because then you're just taking the oil layer that is the seasoning off from it. So take a sponge, make sure all the soap's gone, kind of give it a nice hard ass scrub. You have to dry it out like with heat. You need to get all the water out of there. So then just put it back on the stove, let it sit there for like 5 minutes. You'll see it smoking a little bit. It's dried out. You can put it away.
Why wouldn't you let it air dry?
Iron and water, they don't like each other. You'll rust the pan.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So you want to heat it, and also what that does is opens up the iron, right? As iron heats up, it kind of becomes a little porous, and that oil slips in. The oil you didn't clean off because you didn't use any soap is just gonna slip into the pan, and slowly but surely it'll create like a little nice non-stick layer.
Oh, and then you have your own little non-stick pan.
Yeah, but you still want to use oil. That's the merit of like a cast iron, is you always use oil. It just kind of constantly flows through, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then yeah, you should be then like, I'm at the point with the cast iron that like I'm used that I can put like 2 or 3 eggs in there. It doesn't stick. Like so long as there's a bit of oil in there, it doesn't stick.
Mm-hmm.
It does the job.
Yeah. Okay. Did I remember the first time I cooked eggs a couple years back? It's funny, it's only a couple years back. But
everyone begins their journey differently.
I had to Google it, how to cook eggs.
Oh my!
Because I didn't know what to do, and I fucked it up because I didn't use a nonstick pan. And I didn't put any oil or anything, so it was just coated
also,
eggs
how
on the
shitty of
pan.
an instruction tablet that I didn't tell you put some oil in there. It's like, if you're already at this point of asking how the hell do I cook an egg, it's like, they don't know anything. Let me walk them through.
Be really specific if you're
it's
teaching
like,
someone.
get a non-stick. Hell, even if it's not a non-stick, it's like, whatever. They're gonna lose some egg. It's cooked. All right.
I learned the word braise the other day.
Ooh,
to braise something.
Good on you.
It's when you fry it and then cover it and let it soak in the juices.
Yeah, it's because
right?
When you cover it, it just kind of like evaporates, comes back in. It does a really nice job.
So, because I was doing this Russian vocabulary app, and the word was braise, and I was like, what does that mean in English?
You've never watched the Food Network, I'm assuming.
I've watched like Hell's Kitchen.
I'm assuming Gordon Ramsay's had to have said braised at least a couple times in there.
Doesn't mean I know what it is.
You probably just saw some Scottish slang for fuck you. At that point, you're like, he's just saying fuck off to someone else.
Yeah. He's like, I'll fucking braise you.
Yeah, alright. Go ahead. There's a hot tub right there.
There is a hot tub right there.
You only gotta put the cover on.
You can take the cover off.
Huh?
Oh, I see. Put you in and then cover it.
And then you braise
and then you get braised.
Yeah. For like 5 minutes, I walk out and like stronger than ever instead of making superior humans. It's like, that doesn't even make sense. Fuck it. Braised Carlos.
Gotta try somebody else.
Yeah, your dad.
My dad, me, a hamster. Maybe we should start with animals.
No, we gotta start with plants first, see what happens.
Yeah.
Then animals.
Then animals.
Then humans.
Then humans.
Preferably children. I mean, there's has to be an element.
Yeah, first children, and then pregnant women, and then adults. Because we don't want to risk the adult's life.
I'm not even good about the pregnant women. Just the fetuses.
Just the fetuses?
Yeah.
We can braise them inside of the mother, inside of the womb.
Now you're thinking. Stronger humans every time. Or dead humans. I'm not sure yet. We're going to find this out.
I'm imagining a pregnant woman laying on her back in a giant frying pan. And the frying pan is just big enough to cover like her back and butt, and her legs and arms are kind of out. And then maybe you could put a top on it if you wanted to. Kind of unnecessary, just for looks really at that point.
I mean,
like a big belly with a little top of the...
You throw some garlic, some onions on top, a little bit of red bell pepper.
Ooh, put an apple in her mouth.
Oh yeah, she'll fall right off the bone. But no, yeah. Yeah, no, I always find it kind of interesting how like different people start cooking at different levels because like the assumption always is that guys just suck straight at cooking, but I found it's about equal.
Well,
It's just the stereotype is women can cook.
but then also like a lot, maybe most. I don't know if that's true or not. Most of the top chefs are all men. I think.
That's the point, but it's also because there's a competitive aspect to it, right? Because then I think
It's an interesting dynamic, isn't it?
because I think if you look at like entertainers in cooking, it's mostly women, right? Because you cook, but there's none of the competition aspect compared to men. That's like I need to have the best French restaurant in France, right?
So maybe it's like the more woman-oriented shows are like the ones that are tailored to women.
I mean, I
Like
wouldn't even say that. I would
Housewives
say
and stuff.
generally the better cooking shows are the ones that women lead because one, they don't try to be like. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy watching Gordon Ramsay cook and all, but there's a little bit of pretentiousness in the way he does cook, and it's like he uses super expensive ingredients and shit. Like it's hard as fuck for you to find unless you go to a super expensive grocery store, right? And then the techniques he uses and expects you to do is like this is very simple. It's like, no, sir, I do not have a Michelin star. This is not simple. Compared to like if you watch like a Giada or something, she's I think the most famous female chef. She does like Italian cooking. She'll teach you how to do like a pasta carbonara, and it's like not that bad. You get what I mean? It's like there's a different dynamic. Like the men,
I mean,
I guess for the men, it's because it's a dick measuring contest for everything we do, right? It's like I am the best chef.
well, that's the thing. Someone like Gordon is trying to be the best chef, so it makes sense to use the best ingredients. He's not trying to have a cooking network where you teach people how to make meals at home.
And I think at this point, the only reason he has a cooking show is because people know his name are going to watch him regardless, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Bobby Flay is really good in that regard. That what he cooks isn't particularly difficult.
I loved watching Gordon on Hot Ones.
That was really funny. Just him, like, every time he would bite the sauce, it would just, like, the zoom out of him, like, going, oh. Shaq was really great, too. You ever see that one?
I did see that one.
That was great.
I thought Gordon was more funnier.
Shaq's reactions were funny. It was just him
Shaq
going,
was,
like,
he's a funny, and he seems like a cool dude. Also, towards the end, I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say. I don't remember exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
But no, I mean, that's probably what most of that comes from. The whole thing that, like, the most successful chefs are men because, again, it's... Once there's an award in the way, just the way men generally tend to think is, I must win it, right? There's a few women that can obviously do it. I mean, there's a reason why there's, like, female champions in certain aspects and stuff like that. But I think that's just generally more, like, a male thing, or at least we're taught to care more about that shit, right? In a way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, at least.
I mean, when you're little, you get put in
Maybe
sports team or something
inadvertently.
like that. Yeah.
Well, I was never put on any sports teams or anything.
Oh, I was. Yeah.
I wish I was. That would have been nice.
I mean, you were in wrestling.
Right, but I would. That's something that I chose to do.
Yeah, but what was the mentality of wrestling? Is you win. You don't go there just to show up and show a technique. You go there to win, right?
Well, I didn't develop that mindset for many years. My mindset was really like, well, time to lose again.
Oh, damn. Pussy.
Yeah, so I didn't develop like a winning mindset. It took me years of losing to be able to finally be like, all right, now
I'm tired of this shit.
Now I want to win.
Fair enough.
Before I leave.
Fair enough. So yeah, no, there's that. But like what I was saying about like people's different cooking levels, like the assumption is always that women can cook better, right? In college, you realize no one can fucking cook, with the exception of like 10% of the population.
Prime example.
Because like, I don't know if you remember this. So one of the guys in our house is called Jonah. He had some pasta from the night prior or whatever that I think he bought his mom made or something like that. He didn't make it. He wanted to reheat the pasta. So what would be the obvious path he would take to reheat this pasta?
Microwave.
That would be the obvious path. He's like, no, I don't want to do that. So he puts the already cooked pasta into a non-stick pan with no oil and let it burn. And guess that wasn't his non-stick pan. That was another guy's in the house's non-stick pan, and he was pissed. It was David's pan. He was flamed.
He ruined the pan?
He ruined the pan. David literally bought that like the week before, and the pan was fucked already. It's like, what the hell?
Oh man, yeah. That's reasonably to get pissed at that.
Yeah, no. I mean, Jones gotten better at cooking. He's been cooking a lot more at his new place. So, but it's like anything. I mean, I started cooking probably already even in middle school. I could cook like basic shit. Like I could do my own mac and cheese and my own pastas and stuff like that.
Impressive.
And then
I could put eggs in the microwave.
that's very high.
Don't recommend.
Fuck yeah.
It's the lowest tier of eggs. Microwaved eggs.
You say that. There's got to be one worse though. There has to be. What could be worse?
Raw eggs comes to mind, but I think raw eggs is probably higher tier than microwaved eggs because you have
depending who you are.
You have a rocky aesthetic going on if you're eating raw eggs.
I got it. Car engine egg.
Car engine egg.
You know, like the heat of the car engine, like some people would use that to cook.
Oh, like cooking on the hood.
No, like let's say you put the eggs, like you wrap them in aluminum foil, you leave them in the car, you drive around all day.
Oh.
No effort at all required. You're like, oh, let me have a snack. It tastes like diesel.
That's probably so bad for you.
It's like, it's got that diesel flavor.
Let's get a snack. Let me pop open the hood here. Got some eggs cooking under this baby.
I think that's the lowest tier. That's got to be it. It's like actually unhealthy for you.
Yeah, that's definitely lowest tier for sure. That's surprisingly several tiers below microwaved eggs.
Right.
Like,
so that means there's other levels that we're unaware of right there.
Yeah.
Toaster oven egg gotta be shit.
I don't know. Toaster oven egg? I have a feeling it could be better than a microwaved egg.
I'm assuming it's just always gonna be overcooked as shit.
I don't know.
And also, it's a toaster oven because you have to put it on the pan, right? Right?
Yeah, like the little...
And the pan's always going to cook the egg more, so the likelihood might also be you pull it out and the top of the egg isn't cooked at all, but that bottom half of it is.
Oh, yeah, and then and it would get stuck to the thing unless you're using some oil or something.
Exactly the fucking point. So microwave eggs actually low tier, but not the lowest tier. It's not F tier.
Yeah, just because of the technical difficulties of using a toaster oven to make an egg.
Yeah.
It's like...
So I'll give the microwave egg a D tier. The F tier is clearly diesel egg. I mean, that's not even to be considered. No, I think there is a cooking show where they fuck around with it.
Where's toaster oven? Is that D tier? And then microwave would move up to C tier.
Part of it is I need to test it to figure it out. Because if it's the overcooked method, it's always D tier. It did the egg, it's fine, you can eat it. If it's what we're thinking, though, that it's only ever going to cook what the fuck's touching the pan, oh, that's fucking F tier. Like, that's not even edible. What are you going to do with that, right? Also, what if you want, like, a sunny side up? It's always got to be scrambled. That's the only method you got, right? You always have to pull the egg out.
You're going to
scramble
put it back in.
Like, you can never do, like, sunny side up or anything like that, or eggs over easy, nothing like that.
You know what would be cracked is if you could take it out and it's, like, halfway cooked, and then you have another toaster oven pan, and you just plop it so it completely goes upside down, and then you put the other one back
I might
in
put
there.
an F tier just because of the amount of effort required. It's like the microwave, fuck it, for all its badness, you could just press a minute and it's there.
And then you can eat it.
Yeah, it's gonna taste like shit. It's gonna be bad.
But you're not gonna have diesel in your diet.
And then you also didn't spend like 10 minutes getting the same quality of egg. Just through the inferior method. Oh god.
Dude, what if a toaster oven egg is actually really good?
I mean,
someone out there.
I'll put it this way:
makes their eggs in a toaster oven.
There's one really good recipe. I think it's Spanish. I can't remember. That you make like a really nice sauce, right? Like a tomato sauce, right? And then you crack the eggs on top and you oven bake it, right? That works because the eggs don't directly touch the bottom. It's like the sauce is the thing cooking it, and then it also gets like the top oven heat, so it generally comes out like very evenly cooked. You know, you always want to cook to the point that the yolk is still very soft, right? That makes sense. The toaster oven, in my mind, doesn't feel like it would work just because, again, you are going to get so much more direct heat from the metal touching it than from anything else. Like, the hot air around it's nice and all, but it's indirect, right? So that just seems like it's not going to be a good egg. Like, at all.
Yeah.
They're like the same way that
we should try it out sometime.
Yeah, and we're going to get some subpar eggs.
It's worth it for science.
Yeah, you say that until we like walk out. It's like it's exactly what we thought. This is the one case where the hypothesis was as far as we should have gone.
Worst case scenario, we waste like 10 cents.
Fair enough. Still don't feel like doing it. But yeah, no. I mean, the funny thing though is like I see that most people do end up picking up cooking. I mean, there's some people who like still get scared away from it. Like, you know, Tangaroo in the house was one of those reminders. Like, anytime I mention cooking, I would tell them, you know, it's not that hard. It's like a learning curve of just accepting doing something and every now and then like overcooking something or whatever. But
I just don't like that it takes time.
I feel like that's what a lot of people think too. But honestly, if you think about like the financial gain you get back and also change your mindset, cooking can be fun, especially if whatever you make tastes really good, right? And you're like challenging yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It can be fun.
What a positive attitude.
I mean, shit. You go out
That's
there and you
gay.
decide. No, but let me put it this way. Let's say that you decide to try like a really tasty recipe, right? That's kind of a little odd, like out there, right? So, you decide to cook Indian that night. You're like,
Gorgonzola.
is it just a cheese? Gorgonzola is just a. You're not gonna cook gorgonzola. I mean, you can make a weird.
He's trying to be out there.
Yeah, I mean, you can make a cheese. That's a different process now. But let's say, you know, you're going to make like an Indian dish like butter chicken or chicken tikka masala or something like that, right?
Sure.
Really tasty dish. Really fucking delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Generally kind of expensive if you buy out, right? Okay, fine. You go through the process, you make it. You're pretty happy with yourself for making it. Sure, it's not the best chicken tikka masala you ever made, but the way you view it, it's like, hey, fuck it, this was my first time. Wait till it's like the 10th time I made this thing. It's going to be fire, right? Especially since you already know along the way where you made your little mistakes here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of part of the process. It's the same way, like, if you play an instrument, you fuck up along the way. That's kind of part of the fun, right?
I never mess up.
You never once messed up when you touch your bass.
No.
Davey 504 is going to come out that couch and slap you because he knows you're lying.
He's...
Yeah, like, your reaction was, he's here.
We'll have a slap battle.
He might win. Now he has the power of the rappers behind him.
I feel like
He has a very different style than most.
I feel like I
players.
couldn't win even if I won.
Yeah, because the fan base would just be saying he won regardless.
He would use the holy slap on me.
Oh, that's true.
Can't beat that. He beat Charles.
I'll say this. He has a very unique style. It's almost jazzy, almost.
Davey?
Yeah. You ever notice that? Like, whenever he does, like, his own little tracks or whatever, there's almost like a jazz influence in there. I'm wondering if that's maybe because that's the style they teach in Europe in a way.
I don't know.
Maybe that's the school of thought over there that, like, they go from jazz.
Mm-hmm. I always thought it was a little more bluesy.
Yeah, I can see that, too. But you get what I mean? It's like, well, a lot of people over in the States side might have, like a rock influence from it or an alternative influence from it. Some will have a jazz, some will have a blues, but I feel like most people that get into playing bass or any instrument in general tend to go for the rock influence of it.
Well, it's an interesting thing because most people who play bass
Mm-hmm.
do not start out on bass. It's
Guitar, I'm guessing.
It could be any number of instruments. I remember reading up.
Ukulele.
I was reading actually this paper. This guy was made like a. What are those papers when you make theses when you're in graduate school?
Oh, that's your dissertation.
Dissertation. This guy had a dissertation on the different methods of learning bass, and he like analyzed like different books, different methods of teaching, and like interviewed a bunch of bass players and stuff like that. And one of his conclusions was that there's like almost never seemingly a bass player who just starts out playing bass.
Well, I'll put it this way. When I was really little, keep in mind I thought Santa Claus gave us this, but
I started on piano and trumpet before bass,
So my parents walked up to us one day, and in retrospect, I can clearly remember this moment, but leading up to that point, I thought Santa had given me a drum set. My parents asked, "Is like, do you guys think it's cooler if, like, you know, a duo plays guitar and bass?" Because my sister was always talking about how she wanted to learn guitar, right? I still think to this day she doesn't know how to play guitar. She tried for a solid year, and just gave up on it, right?
A year is not that much in terms
It
of...
isn't, but, like, when I say try, she would pluck at it for, like, 5 minutes one day and then put it aside.
Yeah, not
you know,
much effort.
The kids are out, right? Like, oh, this is actually work. I don't want to do it, right? Because every kid imagines the moment you pick up a guitar, you're just a god ripping into it, right?
You're like, oh, shit, this would take a lot of time.
Yeah, so my parents literally asked, is like, hey, do you think a guitar bass duo would be better or guitar drums? My instant reaction is drums.
Drums for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe even because percussions in general is just easier because it makes a sound that kind of sounds pleasant out the gate, even if you suck at what you're doing. But it's like I suck. I need to have rhythm, right?
Yeah, and there's something about just having a beat in there that's just like you can really latch onto that.
And I mean, even if you're just like slapping the shit for fun, it sounds kind of fun and it's enjoyable.
Yeah, you can't really hit a wrong note.
Yeah, I mean, with the guitar, it's the learning curve of how you're supposed to hold the string, how you're supposed to pluck it, how you're supposed to strum, and all that stuff. It's like, before you can just dick around and make funny sounds, like, you got to learn how to hold the thing right.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there's that to drumming as well.
Yeah, but
technically.
Yeah, but the amount of dudes I see that are still proficient drummers and they're holding the sticks wrong works fine either way, right? It's like, yeah, you made a little.
You can say the same thing for guitar as well.
I've never seen a guy hold a guitar like this and play. I've literally seen guys hold like drumsticks in the most bizarre manner.
I see plenty of people playing guitar and their thumb is, or their wrist is up here, and your thumb is supposed to be square in the back. But you'll see it all the time where people, and the thumb will go up here, or the player will be up here. So they're not playing with proper left hand
because
technique.
I think that's where people think like I got to grip around with my thumb.
Mm-hmm.
But then part of it is like you understand you were fucking the strings up where the thumbs.
Well, the thing it's about keeping your mobility available. Mm-hmm. So if this is the fretboard and you just have one thumb here, then you have this whole range of availability that you can use based off the thumb. But if you have the whole thing pressed up here or the thumb up here, then you have to move your whole hand instead of having one point that you can pivot off of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's just like instinct on how you want to grab it. Like if you would grab a hammer, you would do a very similar kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But instead of thinking of it like, oh, how do I grab it to play, right? Because it's not for the utility of how to hold; it's the utility of how to perform.
Yeah. But there is something to be said for, if it sounds good, who cares?
Yeah. No, I mean, I've literally seen guys hold drumsticks like the sticks going between these two fingers here, and I don't know how the fuck they play like that. I literally watch them, and they're tremendous drummers. And I'm like, why do you hold it like that? They're like, well, I tried going the proper way, but I've already gone too far in my learning. That's how I play now. It's like, that looks retarded. But like, fine. Like, Jesus. Like, what I did initially is I was playing, because, I picked up the drum set, but in school I was taking, like, orchestra, right? So the style my teacher taught me, which is inferior, there's French, which is never do this. This feels terrible.
That's French?
Yeah. There's like German, which is very stiff. That's the style I learned how to play. So for a while I was playing very stiffly with my arms. The looser one is what they go. I was always told was like American, like kind of in the middle. You can kind of use your wrist more.
I see that a lot.
Yeah, that's generally I think considered the more preferred style. German can be considered good if you really want to power through because that's stiffness, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, besides maybe an occasional like section,
French is good for surrendering or something.
French is really good for orchestral style. I mean, I've heard some people make the argument that you can make a really consistent snare flow kind of holding it this way, which makes some sense to me. It's you're kind of restricting your range of motion to only do this one.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that only makes sense in the terms of orchestra, that if you were only the snare, only play that way. This doesn't make sense to me if I gotta hit the tom-toms now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Or it's like, okay, maybe the hi-hat makes some sense. Monkey phone.
Who is it?
I know how you... Shut up. It makes, like, if you're gonna hit the hi-hat, makes sense. If you're gonna hit the snare, makes sense. If you're gonna hit the floor tom, might make sense. The moment you're doing any cymbals or anything like that, you have to break that hand stance. It doesn't feel comfortable. You might not even reach the farthest cymbal you got, right? But
I mean, that would be really weird if you're moving both of your hands up to hit a cymbal.
Yeah.
Like
German, you can manage it. I mean, even in orchestra, like my teacher always found it really frustrating. Was like, why don't you hit the snare with more consistency? You know how stiff this is? Like, how do you roll with this, right? Like, once you got the wrist motion in there, it's like, yeah, it's easier to roll. It's just going to be naturally, like, you're just limping out your wrist and letting the drum head do the work for you, right? Mm-hmm. But, it happens. Yeah, no. But, so yeah, it's once I started really getting into drumming or whatever, and then I went into marching band. Matt, the drum coordinator for the group, was just a really great percussionist. He sat down, he looked at I was drumming, he's like, you were doing it absolutely wrong. And he asked, like, where I got that train of thought to hold the drumsticks that way. And, he just explained to me like, look, I get it. It makes sense in orchestra for certain, sections, right? Because you never see like a whole drum kit really in the orchestral band. You generally see like, this guy has a tom, that guy has a tom, that guy has a bass. These are the cymbals. That's the snare.
Yeah.
They're separated. It's like, okay, in that sense, then maybe you adopt a certain play style, but it's so specific. If you're playing a whole set, it's like you gotta flow around.
You have to be more versatile.
Mobility is important, right? The biggest learning curve for me, I think, though, with the drums was always getting that fucking strength here to hit the bass. Like that, I don't even know what that muscle's called, but like to be able to move my foot up and down throughout like 3 minutes, that is an underestimated muscle.
It's well,
It's just the shin
it
muscle.
should be your calf.
Well, the calf is in the back, but
yeah, but that's
is
what
that the shin?
The calf is what makes your foot go up and down. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but you always feel it like up here, like in the shin, because I think it's the tendons up here or whatever, or the ones feeling the strain.
That's interesting. I don't think there's I don't think there's really any muscle on your shin.
Maybe it's just from like maybe it's just a matter of what do you call it? Like stabilizer muscles and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, you start doing that, and like once you can get to like a 3-minute song, you can just get through that, and you're like, jeez, my leg. That's why I always find it hilarious when I see beginners already doing kind of like double pedals for the bass. It's like you're cheating. You're not helping yourself, because it's easier for 2 legs to keep a very simple bum 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 beat without either leg getting tired. Do that with 1 leg, right? Also, bad technique. You want to keep the other foot on the cymbals, on the hi-hat. I mean, times.
Double bass should only be used once you start adding 16th and 32nd notes, I feel like.
And once you're an advanced drummer. Because...
And you know what? You should be able to do a basic blast beat with a single foot.
You should be able to. I mean, I can get why. Maybe for performance sake or for recording sake, you have to double because, if you're saying you have to re-record a song for an hour, your leg's going to feel it, right? It's like, okay, let's make it a little, like, pleasant for you. Just add the double there, makes your life easier, right? But I think for, like, a one-off, sure, if you're just dicking around in a concert real quick.
Well, I would actually argue that if you're doing it in a recording session, then you would probably need to tough it out. Because if you're going for the one-leg sound, then you need to do it exactly like that.
Sure, but there's something to be said that, like, you're recording, that was bad, that was bad, and then maybe when we're like, okay, we're in the groove of it, this next one's going to be it, right? Maybe you go for the 1 leg, right?
Okay, I could see what you're saying.
Compared to, like, let's say the guitarist isn't just feeling it all day, right? He's just struggling with the set, he's having a bad time with it. Why are you going to sacrifice your leg every single time for an hour when he's the one fucking it up, right? So part of it is like, okay, well, we'll wait until you eventually get it, you're not really feeling it or whatever, or he's making adjustments or whatever, and eventually it's like, okay, that's the sound. You might go, okay, one more time, gonna do with the leg. Let's power through.
That's a really good point. And
you get close enough to the sound that like everyone else assumes it's fine. The drummer's really gonna be the one that's predominantly hearing it at that moment. To know that like it's off, but it'll work for right now, right?
You're right. And recording the entire band together like that is probably the best thing that you can do
for chemistry. And
I think there's just something lost when you're recording everything individually. You just don't get that full band cohesive.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about flows and chemistry between each other.
You don't have that
compared to just the stoic of, okay, I know my part, I'm just gonna record it.
You don't have that organic playing togetherness that happens when you're actually
and going off of that example,
time.
There's something to be said that if you are sitting there recording a song for like an hour or 2, or maybe spending a couple of weeks trying to get something right, that it's only because the guitarist is messing up, that kind of can change the sound of everyone else too in the final product, right? For better or for worse, no idea, right? You only really know in the final product, right? So yeah, it's all that, yeah. I mean, I get why, because, well, I'll say this, for pop, it makes absolute sense. You got to come up with the most studio clean sound you can, right? So the most studio clean sound you can is you record everything individually. Doesn't really matter because a lot of the stuff is going to sound almost in a way heartless or soulless, because that's kind of the point. It's supposed to be like super scrubbed down, right?
To sell your soul to Satan to gain fame through pop music. That's the goal, right?
Yeah, you say that. There's a movie that was just released. Actually, no, it wasn't just released. You remember that old Megan Fox movie, Jennifer's Body?
No.
Okay. The movie was advertised like shit because the only thing they advertised is Megan Fox is hot. Watch the movie because I think she had one nude scene in there or something like that, or maybe she wasn't even really nude. Maybe it was just like, oh, you see her back, right? It's actually a pretty good movie. It's a pretty good horror movie actually. The thing that happens in the movie is like Megan Fox's character wants to be like super popular or whatever, right? She meets this indie pop, like this indie rock band, sorry. And, she wants to get fucked by these guys to be more popular or whatever, right? But these guys keep asking, like, a weird question. It's like, she's a virgin, right? We do know that. And she keeps insisting she's a virgin even though she's fucked, like, literally every guy she's seen, right? And the reason they kept asking that question is because they were literally going to sacrifice her on the pyre for their success. I just loved how they never said it, but you're like, they said it.
Yeah, as soon as you said they kept asking if she's a virgin, I was like, they're going to sacrifice
Yeah,
this
that's
bitch?
the point. It's like, you might ask the question once, and you're already kind of a creep at that point, right?
You're definitely a virgin, right?
Right? You're a virgin. It's like, I'm really into that. It's like,
Are you sure that you're a virgin?
Yeah, no, but they kept going. Yeah, no, but that's the joke in the movie, and then she turns to a succubus, and...
I heard, we should double check if this is true, that Beyonce said that she has several demons living inside of her body. And that the reason that she's so famous and successful is because she allows the demons to work through her.
I have not heard that, but that sounds interesting. Let's see, Beyonce. Demons.
Beyonce says she has demons inside of her.
That's not how we spell demons, but...
I don't know where I put my phone, so I'll let you look it up.
The first thing that shows up, not a good sign. Is from Pinterest. That's the first thing that shows up, not like a news article about her talking about that.
I don't imagine it would get much news coverage, to be fair.
Behaves a bit weirdly. Internet gets weirder. Just a BuzzFeed article. This is not a good sign, but all right, let's read. Is it like a song lyric maybe?
I think she said it in an interview.
On Wednesday, Beyonce and Megan Thee Stallion shook up the internet with their Savage remix.
And, I didn't find it in the most reliable source either. I was watching this, like, one of those super Christian educational videos.
Mm-hmm.
And they were trying to talk about how, like, gayness will be the downfall of society.
I think maybe she made, like, a reference in one of her songs. I'm not the biggest Beyonce fan.
Where is my phone? Oh, it's recording the video. It's right here.
Where is my phone?
That whole time you were on your phone, I was thinking, where is my phone?
Oh my fuck.
That's not the worst thing I've ever done.
No.
You ever done this? You're on the phone with someone. Hold on, I need to find my phone.
Where are my glasses? I've done this God knows how many times. Anyways, what I was saying
what
is,
were you gonna say?
I'm assuming she made a lyric in her song, something about a demon, and then they took it too far.
Well,
a rap like a demon.
Both Pinterest and BuzzFeed said that she said that.
No,
she
BuzzFeed was just saying that, like.
What did Pinterest say?
I don't have a Pinterest account. It's one, Pinterest is one of those stupid websites when you click the link, it's like, make an account with us, otherwise you can't see what it is. It's like,
that's annoying.
It's like, yeah, I'm not making an account with you.
But dude, I saw it from the most reputable source that I could possibly think of.
Christian Digest Daily.
It's a Christian educational YouTube video.
God. No. I watched a video the other day that infuriated me endlessly. And he's a YouTuber I generally liked. I just haven't seen his stuff in a really long time. Do you know who Armored Skeptic is?
I know. I've heard the name before, though. It's a YouTuber, right?
Yeah. So it seems like about a year and a half ago
Is he like a political commentary person or something?
He's one of those old skeptic YouTubers. Like, they talk about like religious shit and all that stuff, right?
Okay.
But it seems like he decided to go into conspiracy theories like a year and a half ago. One of them is history is fake. That was the name of the video. It's like, okay, let's see what this is about. So...
Well, according to quantum mechanics, history is malleable.
Yeah, but no, he was saying like fake, like the conspiracy theories that they don't want you to know this happened historically, right? So the first thing they open up with is the pyramids. It's like, all right, that's not new. Whatever. Skip that part of the video. It's like, I don't need to hear about that anymore, right?
Buzz Aldrin said that aliens make the pyramids.
I don't fucking... He's not a historian. No, honestly, the amount of people who talk about the pyramids and stuff like that, so you really truly underestimate the power of a society that they believe the guy telling you to build a pyramid is a fucking god, right? Also, what people also tend to forget is, you always hear the thing like, oh, but the rocks are so precisely placed or whatever, right? How the hell could they build the whole pyramid like that? The thing is, they didn't. The interior of the pyramid's kind of sloppily built together. I mean, they didn't need to build it that close. I mean, you get a rock that's kind of square shaped, and you can plaster the rest of it. No, not plaster, mortar the rest together, right? It's only the outside where you're going to see that they got real precise. And imagine if the project takes 10, 15 years to build, you can take your sweet time getting the outside rocks right.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, how is this so aligned with the stars?
Probably a lot easier with superb alien technology as well.
You know what makes it super easy, though? 200,000 slaves working with you. Oh, well, they weren't slaves. Not really.
Now imagine...
They were like serfs, but...
Now imagine alien technology with 200,000 slaves.
So people are silly. No, there was even one video I saw where a dude's like, look, you can see on this rock where they used laser cutting or whatever. And you look at it and it's like, that clearly looks like a saw blade. It's like lasers do not leave saw blade marks.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carlos. I didn't know you were an expert on saw blade marks.
Yeah, my dad's a carpenter. I consider myself a slight fucking expert.
Is your dad a carpenter?
Yes, he is. So, no, that's the point. It's like you see people talk all this mad shit, and it's like I've seen wood, metal, and concrete cut in front of me all my life. I know what it looks like when a saw touches something. Granted, there's something to be said about like two dudes just going like, that's fucking brutal, alright? Let's be honest with ourselves. But if you believe you're doing this for a god, you kind of put a little more juice into it, right?
You would think so. But then again, there are a bunch of people who go to church who don't try to convert people to Christianity.
Yeah, but there's a difference when the God's actually standing right in front of you, right?
Good point.
Like, it's one thing if it's like, yeah, Jesus is like up there now. It's like, okay, cool. He doesn't see what I'm doing.
Every Sunday you had
Jesus was right there.
Yeah, every Sunday instead of going to church, you went over to God's house, and he was there, and he's like, so did you convert anybody? Did you try to spread the word?
Or not only that, walks up to you, Williamson. It's like, I know you just jerked off for pleasure. For the first time when you were 16, you stop right away. It's like, never again. I made a mistake. I wasn't supposed to find out about that. But
I have no shame.
So that was the first one. The second theory, just because how stupid it sounded, was that in the 1800s there was a global mud flood. Like
in the 1800s?
Just around the world, yes.
Okay.
And they don't want you to know about it.
Is that how Jesus got to America?
No. Just there was a mud flood, and the evidence is this. Some buildings appear in the basement floors or whatever to have covered them up at one point. And it's like, yes, that's very typical. You know, as you're doing construction, you're like, we're going to build a hill here or something like that. And a lot of the evidence they use is just showing how they used to build foundations back in the day. Now we just come up with one giant concrete slab and that's it. The way they had to do back then was like pretty much just adding a second floor, like like the basement floor was just another floor that they would build. And then, you know, you hear them say like, but why would they even bother building arches and all that stuff? Is it because, well, the idea was like anything. It's like, well, what if we need to, you know, expand out the grounds?
Well, arches are like
they're also structurally stable.
Yeah, they're like one of the most structurally
But people are like, oh, but all the decorum around them and all the columns and stuff is like, yes, those are
they look good and they're extremely stable.
Now, makes sense. Maybe with modern construction where we just got like beams everywhere and all that stuff, it's like you don't need it. But
weird that an arch is so stable because it doesn't look very stable.
It's because that top point, you know, you get like those two and they balance out.
Yeah, I get it.
It's I get what you mean though. It's like if you were a 5-year-old, you would have never understood that that's one of the most stable things, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like also
because it seems like a decoration.
Same thing that like, you know, when people say like triangles are some of the most stable fucking things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're 5, you would assume it has to be a square.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously not true because like I could fucking rip a piece of paper in half like that, and the triangle is not even a triangle anymore.
That's not what I mean. I mean, if you take like say 2x4s, you kind of angle into them, maybe you build a triangle. It can take a lot of weight if you take out any of the points, right? You wouldn't have assumed that though, right? If you were like 5 or something, because you would be thinking, well, it's clearly got to be a square. I mean, you got 2 pillars.
Square is very nice and round.
Yeah. So the mud flood one was just stupid. I mean, part of it was also they were saying like just generic things like, oh, cities seem like they raised themselves like a floor up or something. That's like, yeah.
Maybe it was Noah's Ark. Took place in the 1800s.
Maybe that makes sense.
And then Jesus came to America.
And then the last one, maybe you'll understand this one a little bit better. because this one was for me the most infuriating one because it was just people talking out of ignorance, like stupid ignorance.
I love talking out of ignorance.
So they were saying that for most of human history, there was an empire in Central Asia that no one spoke about. And it's called like the Empire of Tartaria, right? All right.
In Tartar?
Well, you already get the name, right?
Yeah.
You already get where the name's coming from. That's good. So, okay, the argument is this. The Mongols never really went away, and for some reason, Western historians refute that there was ever, like, a big empire there or something like that. Like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, all the way to Mongolia and China, right? Like, all that region was unified somehow. Okay. Simplest explanation I can give these people is, one, we do know that region's history, just not maybe in the West, because who the fuck is about Uzbekistan over here? Russia has extensive history about the nomadic peoples there. Because guess what? The Tsars kind of gave a fuck to know about that, right? If you're going to conquer these people, you gotta kind of know about them, right? So that was well regarded and noted. And the bigger explanation as to why it looks like they were all lumped into one group is as follows. If you're a British historian, you don't want to get sent over to Kazakhstan. What the fuck is that about, right?
Yeah, what are you going to do? Spend your time differentiating between Kazakhstan and
You're going to
Uzbekistan?
go to Russia. You're going to go to Moscow. You're going to meet a Tartar. You're going to ask the Tartars, like, hey, in your experience, how are the people over there? And you're like, I do nomadic, and they do this, and there's all these groups of people. They're like, it's fine. They're all Tartars.
Thank you for your opinion. I will write that in a historical document.
Exactly the point. And then you, being the lazy bastard you are, because you didn't even want to go all the way to Kazakhstan to do the actual work, right? You're going to say, it's Tataria, Tartars. They're all Tartars.
They're all Tartars.
And no, I mean, part of the also evidence that the people like to use that this is an actual theory is like, see, they gave them one flag. Yeah, no shit. Everyone else has a flag, and if you're coming up with a bullshit country because you don't want to put research in, you're just going to take whatever Tartar image you want and slap it on there and say this represents the whole, right? But again, it's just ignorance, because if you want to go to, Moscow and go through the endless museums, you'll find out fantastic information about Central Asia. And I mean, it's a really interesting place. I mean, Alexander II had, like, really epic wars over there trying to conquer them. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of great history there. Fucking, they could make a movie.
That's where he got the elephants, right?
No, he just had them. Every czar is born with an elephant. That's a low-key fact.
Alexander wasn't a czar.
Alexander II, yeah.
He was an emperor. Oh, wait.
The czar is an emperor.
You're right. I was thinking of Alexander the Great.
Oh, no, he was...
You're talking about Alexander II.
Yes, of Russia.
I was wrong.
Yeah, you're fine. But I mean, like, Russia...
God damn it!
You failed your own people. No, that's one of the silliest theories. And even doing it this way, we even know within Western history, like, because a lot of these conspiracy theories are like, oh, they had everything from Kazakhstan to Persia to Mongolia, right? Giant region of the world, right? Like, all of the Middle East was united.
Big old region that no one gives a fuck about.
Yeah, but let's put it even this way. Western historians knew about a certain guy called Timberlane that conquered Persia and kind of made an empire there.
Timberlane.
Yeah, Timberlane.
That's like a clothing company, is it? Timberlane?
No,
Timberlake?
So. Tim's. Yeah, Tim's. The boots. The boots that everyone wears in New York.
Are they called Timberlanes?
I think so. Timberland? Timberland. What
were you saying?
Timberlane. So the reason why the conqueror was called Timur, right? He seemed like he had a fucked up leg or fucked up hand or something. So his name, right, like instead of the Great or whatever, was the Lame, right? Like
that sucks.
Yeah, like the word lame back then meant like you had a fucked up body, yes. Right? So Timur the Lame.
Timber the Lame.
Timber the Lame.
What
Timber
a horrible title.
Timberlane, right?
Timber the Lame. Timber the Lame.
Timberlane. And then you know, as that name is going to the west, we hear Timberlane. And that sounds kind of Western, right?
Timber the Lame. Timberlane. You
just cut the, and you think that's part of the name, right?
Yeah, it's a Timberlane or something.
So we already know about plenty of people in that region. Holy shit. But yeah, no, that theory infuriated me. Because this guy, who's supposed to be a skeptic, just ate the fucking theory. It's like, you're going in here to debunk it, and you fucking ate every one of these. What's wrong with you? Like, it would have been 2 seconds for him to call up, like, a Russian historian and say, hey, I've seen this conspiracy theory. Can you explain to me why it's false?
He's got to call up Dr. Raleigh.
That would be great. I'm sure Dr. Raleigh would be kind of confused as to why the fuck you're calling him. He's like, is this about the Soviet Union? No, this is 1600s. He'd be like,
this is about 1600s Uzbekistan.
No,
but I'm sure you know what's up, right?
There's one professor at UNC. She's also a great writer. She would probably be better to call in that regard because she does kind of like czar history all the way through. So for her, it would be great if you call and say, "Hey, why does it say here that all of this like Central Asia, I mean, was just one big empire?" And she can explain that like that was just probably like an English or French historian being lazy as shit, not wanting to go over there and do the work, right?
Dude,
and still get the paycheck.
I went inside of this building, inside of the Kremlin when I was there,
Ooh.
and only Russian citizens are allowed inside of the Kremlin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's a
Cool.
pretty cool tourist opportunity for me,
Mm-hmm.
because I am a dual citizen. And so I went in there, and they have this building in there.
That's a cheeky way of him saying he's a Russian spy, but
Российский граждан.
he was just talking about how he was going to destroy America.
I'm pretty sure this building was in the Kremlin, and I tried to Google it up, Google the building where they keep all the czars, and it said it was in like St. Petersburg or something. So I was confused, but went inside of this building that was filled with tombs, and my mom was telling me this building right here is like the building where they have all of the czars' bodies. So like, except for the couple that were like killed and their remains destroyed by the people in like an uprising.
Yeah, Nicholas and
there are a couple people like that.
I know that. Yeah.
But other than those people, all of the czars, they took all of their bodies and they just put them in the same building, and they're all in the same building right now.
Burial.
Which is like crazy history. To take all those.
I mean, if you go to Poland, into Krakow, they have the imperial, not the imperial, the royal, what would you call it? The royal castle.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go in there, there's a church in there that's dedicated to Saint Stanislav. He's the patron saint of Poland. All the Polish kings are buried there, which is pretty fire, right? You can go see like Casimir the Great, for example, which is pretty cool. And Joseph Pilsudski, I think, is also buried in there. Hilariously enough, though, not his whole body. His heart is in Lithuania. I don't know if he agreed to that, but they did it when he died, anyways. Yeah. So
they have they have Lenin's body in this underground pyramid as well.
So Peter and Paul Cathedral.
I went to go see that. That was pretty cool. You're not supposed to take pictures, but they have someone snuck some pictures, so you can see Lenin's body on Google Images if you really want to see it.
So they're saying the czars are buried in Peter Paul Cathedral, which is in St.
But you didn't hear that from me. That's a big no-no.
That's interesting.
When I was going to go look at Lenin's body, I like stopped and I like was just staring at it, and this Russian guy comes up to me, and I didn't speak very much Russian at the time. He just started speaking to me, and I was like, I better keep walking before I accidentally speak English and then I get interrogated by the KGB.
Yeah. Oh, so wait, even to see Lenin's body, you had to be a Russian citizen?
Mm-hmm.
Damn it, I was actually excited whenever I would go to Moscow. I was going to see that.
No, they won't let you in. It's inside of the Kremlin, and you won't be able to get inside of the Kremlin.
Okay, can I... So when you see inside the Kremlin, like I can walk into the main square at least? Or no?
You mean...
like that internal courtyard? Can I do that?
I know what courtyard you're talking about. You can go there. That's not inside of the Kremlin.
Cool, because I know Stalin's body's buried there, and I kind of want to take a picture, like, just, resting on the tomb. Like...
Yeah, you're talking about the Red Square.
Yeah,
right?
Red Square's fine, right?
You can go there, yeah.
Shit, I didn't know you needed to be a Russian citizen to go inside the building, though. That, like, inside Lenin's mausoleum. I thought that was just, like, a tourist thing that you could do. Damn, that's disappointing.
I'm pretty sure that was also inside of the Kremlin. I could be wrong. It was years ago that I went there, but I'm pretty sure that was inside of the Kremlin. And my mom was telling me before we went in there, she's like, don't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Don't speak English. Like, you're technically allowed to be here because you're a citizen, but
people
we're going to be interrogated if you start speaking English.
So it seems like you were maybe in the Cathedral of Archangel. Some of the czars are buried there, not all of them. It seems like the older ones are.
Okay.
Which makes sense, because St. Petersburg was built afterwards, so I'm guessing the Romanovs are buried in St. Petersburg.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other ones that weren't Romanovs. So, like, you probably saw Ivan the Terrible, for example, just there.
He had his own specific building as well, actually.
That's fair. I mean, that makes sense. He's one of the most influential.
I don't think his body was in there. But it was, I think it was like I saw the place where he killed his son, I think.
Oh, that's cool. That's actually pretty cool.
I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it was his building.
Mm-hmm. Also, then, Europe has all those cool ways of burying everyone together, whatever. In the United States, it's like, wherever the fuck they're buried is wherever the fuck they're buried.
Mass graves. I mean,
George Washington is not in a mass grave. I can assure you that. No. It was like my mom, when we were going to DC, she was really excited to go to Arlington Cemetery because in her mind, all the presidents are buried there. Which I had to assure her. One, Arlington was built like after the Civil War or during the Civil War. Can't remember exact date. So it's only really a possibility that everyone born at that point could be buried there, right? And two, most of the people beforehand were just buried in their homes. So I had to explain to my mom, like, Washington's like buried in Mount Vernon. Like, he's over there. Like, he's not here.
People used to bury people in their homes, like in the basement or something?
No, like on the property.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the house is here and like, let's say, like, I don't know, suppose your dad, because that's
and
place.
just like go bury him over there.
Yeah, like your dad dies and you're like, this is his home.
We buried my dog over there.
No, you should bury your dad next to your dog.
I can save space by just throwing him in the same grave.
Yeah, take the bodies and like have him cuddle up the dog.
Yeah, that's
That'd
nice.
Be adorable. Future, archaeologists are like crying when they find it.
Dude, I bet my dog looks fucking nasty now. I bet he's
How long has he been dead?
A couple years at least.
It's maybe just bones by now. You'd be surprised.
You think so?
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
I mean, I wouldn't think it would totally decay that quickly.
Like worms and that shit. Yeah, it takes care of that pretty quick. You'd be surprised. Especially once you talk about like how fertile dirt is here and all that. Like you're gonna have a bunch of stuff under there. So I would be surprised if it's just mostly bones at this point. Or you go in the site. There's no body to be found.
Is it weird that I wanna look?
Not particularly, but you know what's really cool? Duke's actually got a whole what would you call it? Like cemetery site almost, right? That they just let human bodies decompose, and that's like the science of it. They're figuring that out. So for like detectives and all that stuff, they can more accurately say like, oh, this person died like a month ago or whatever. That's
pretty cool.
I've always been kind of interested to go there, but also the smell. Imagine the fucking smell.
Probably really rancid.
Right? Because a lot of them, they have some bodies that they bury for obvious reasons. They have some bodies that, they kind of wrap up in like garbage bags or whatever and throw in a hole or something, right?
Just to
they're trying to
simulate
it. They're trying to mimik, the murders and stuff. And then they just have some bodies like toss the body on the tree and see what happens. And I mean, I would.
That's gotta be a wild building.
I would. It's not a building. It's like a whole, almost park.
And
it's like highly restricted for obvious
right,
reasons. Right,
because there's dead bodies everywhere.
Yeah, and also you don't want to be calling the cops. Someone calling the cops every 2 seconds.
There's a dead body hanging in that tree right there.
There's 80 dead bodies around us, man. What the fuck? It's like Duke's having to come in and explain to officers, like, you know what we're doing here? And they're like, yeah, we do. What the fuck did this guy get here for, right? But like, I would love to walk around with like an expert in the field and they kind of explain like the decomposition process and kind of show me. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how I'd get past the smell. I don't know, but like that's different.
I do one of these.
I have the mustache now. I can filter. No, I mean walk around with the plague doctor mask. You know how they used to shove the beak with flowers or whatever for good smells.
Yeah, you can get a surgical mask and you can put toothpaste on the inside of it.
I mean, it is minty.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that works. But I like the idea of I'm walking around like a fucking plague doctor. So if someone walks up on us, I just kind of look at them and be like, I'm in the wrong place right now.
Dude, yeah. I was super close to getting like a full plague doctor costume.
Ooh, was that gonna be your costume for this year?
No. Right when Corona was about to start, yeah. I was gonna have like a little party, and I wanted to wear a plague doctor mask. And like the full getup and everything. I ended up not getting it, because my brother was gonna buy it for me, and
he didn't.
Yada yada, he didn't. Mm-hmm. Whatever. Anyway, I think
you just hate his guts now. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What time are we on? Oh, 1:13.
All right.
Andy here.
Let's call it.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.